Welcome to episode 15 of That Dynasty podcast. I am your host, Matthew, alongside Isiah. It's playoff time. Let's go. Dude, are you stoked?
No.
How come?
Are you stoked, Matthew?
I'm freaking stoked, dude.
Why would you be stoked and why would I not be stoked?
Um, because you're just bummed that Albert O isn't playing very well.
Yeah, I'm just kind of bummed that I can't use Cam Akers and Alberto as secret weapons in the playoffs. And I have to watch it from the outside. So
I just thought it was because Alberto didn't put up 30 points for you this week.
no, but Evan Ingram dropped 433 points last week, so I'll take it. And no, that's not. That is actually how much he put up.
Yeah, I think that was the actual number. Well, we can't wait to talk to you guys about this coming up week 15 here as matchups start winding down. And you've heard this a million times at this point, but please make sure to follow us on Twitter and on TikTok at That Dynasty Pod. We also got full videos of every podcast on our YouTube channel, and we have our podcast available online at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Link for those are in the description and down below and in the show notes. And let's go ahead and get started. Really brief description of the overview of this episode. We just got some couple it looks like just one name change and then playoff time. We're going to go over last week's matchups, do some recaps, MVP segments, but really it's going to be focusing on our playoff league playoffs, which is finally here. Feels like we just started football season a couple weeks ago. Crazy to think that already the first season is just about wrapped up and almost in the books at this point. You want to talk us through the league update here we got?
Do I have to? It's kind of a lot. My mouth's kind of dry. No, but in all seriousness, our league updates, we have one league update, and that's Andy going from FU QB horse to O'Connell does the gritty. So we just had to change it from PG-13 to G. So we're back to O'Connell does the gritty. Do you want to do the rest of the league updates, Matt?
Yeah, that was the rest of the league updates.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, let's go ahead and review the predictions and matchups from last week. We actually, this was pretty interesting. We had some perfection last week. Let's talk us through kind of the individual matchups we had. If everyone remembers, if you were in the podcast last week, we had Andy, Darius, and Dan all submitting picks alongside us, predictions for the week. So let's kind of talk through matchups one by one. The first matchup that we wanted to go over was Angie's burner account versus the Love Boat incident.
Yeah, and it wasn't very close. I told everyone last week that I was going to win very easily, and when I said I was going to win super easily, I had no idea it was going to be this easy. I dropped 170 points. Love Boat dropped a measly 81. I already have my Evan Ingram jersey on the way for Christmas. Big Jazz guy, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at my tight end and flex. My Evan Ingram, Jerry McKinnon, and Jerry Jeudy put up more points than his entire roster. Mind you, he wasn't starting. Good players everywhere. But, dude, I mean, Evan Ingram, 11 catches, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jerry McKinnon, 2 touchdowns, 112 yards receiving. Jerry Jeudy, 73 yards, 3 touchdowns. I could beat anyone in the league this week really, really easily. And that was including T. Higgins, who had 0 points. So it was nice to have a matchup and just not have any absolute stress whatsoever.
I was gonna say, I was looking at T. Higgins putting up 0 points on your bench, or on your starting roster, and you still put up 170. It's like, holy crap. Matt, you could have been if you had put someone else in there. I mean, that would have been pushing 180, which I think would have been a high score for the year. I'm gonna research that while you kind of talk about the next matchup here to see if I can't find find the
And
answer.
just to confirm, I think everyone picked me, correct?
Everybody did pick you. Yep. So there was
Okay,
every single person got that pick correct.
cool. Next matchup, we had School with our commissioner Darius against Trevor, J&S attorneys at law. And dude, hell of a matchup. Darius won 101.4 to Trevor's 98.9, which is pretty wild because Darius was projected to win by about 35 points. So Trevor cut it down, get on him, but both underperformers for the week. Look at their matchup right now. Um, yeah, Keenan Allen was really the only one that overperformed for Darius, with his 21 points. And then for Trevor, good game from Kirk. He got, unfortunately, nothing from Ramondre, not a whole lot from Malcolm Brown. James Cook did nothing. Latavius Murray didn't really do a whole lot. So, yeah, just a good win for Darius, squeaking by as he pushes for a I think does he have a bye now or no?
He does. Yep. This week.
Yeah, he has a bye because of that 3 points he won by. So
Yeah, I think that it was less about what Darius did and more about Ramondre getting injured in the middle of the Patriots game for sure.
yeah,
Um, so I did find the answer just to backtrack on your points for this past week. You finished with 169.46 points in week 14, which is fifth best record in the league for the week. What am I trying to say? Top five points scored on the week for the whole year. And then if you had not 0 points where Higgins had, if you had 15 more points, that would have been the number one point scored on the year. So really, really solid week for you. And interesting fact is that Darius has 3 of the 4 performances ahead of yours.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the year when he was getting those monster tight end performances from Andrews and Kelsey. All they did, we have no chance in this league. And Andrews has kind of cooled down lately, so we'll see. You want to talk about your matchup?
Yeah. So, just for who picked that matchup in that run, every single person picked Darius to win. So as for as close as it got, he almost burned every single one of our predictions on that one. But yeah, my matchup, very similar to yours, wasn't close. I ended up winning 135.34 to 93.5, although this was projected to be a lot closer. Some unfortunate injuries plagued Seed and Power, and just really some underperformance. For him, he had Jalen Waddle only put up 5 points, as well as Dalvin Cook only put up 7 points. Deebo Samuel got injured after a touchdown and a fumble, 13 points. Kittle only 8 points. CeeDee Lamb only 8 points against Houston. And Jeff Wilson put up 1 point. He had 4 carries for 26 yards and a fumble, and then he was done. So all in all, he's projected 126. He ended up with 93. I was projected 150. Still came in under where I was supposed to land, but still put up 135 points, mainly led by Tyreek Hill, 24 points. The Chiefs defense, 15 points. Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry, 24 points and 18 points respectively. I had Amari Cooper underperformed, 6 points. Devontae Adams, only 10 points right there. So not super ideal, but all in all, it's still a solid points performance for me and enough to secure the victory. And for predictions, every single person predicted that I would take the victory in that matchup, and everyone was correct.
Sweet. Our fourth matchup was the game's on right now. Are we allowed to do live updates, or are we gonna
live updates? McCaffrey has currently rushed for 23 yards, and then George Kittle just caught a 28-yard touchdown. So
Mr. Purdy, dude.
Very Purdy, very Purdy.
All right. And then our next matchup, we had Andy go up against Team Joni One. Andy was fighting for a playoff spot, needed to get a win. As we talked about last week, I was torn because I wanted him to win, but I wanted Team Joni One to keep losing. Andy won. Andy won this one pretty decisively by about 28 points, which is pretty wild considering he got half a point from Kyler Murray He started Kyron Williams, uh, but he had some decent performances from Devontae Smith, Adam Thielen, Christian McCaffrey was dogging out there. Garrett Wilson still doing his things. So, and then for Team Joni One, I'm looking at his roster right now. He started DJ Dallas gave him 0 points. Jacoby Myers gave him 0 points. Um, the Titans gave him -7. So yeah, that's tough.
I think he wanted you to have a better pick this week.
Yeah, I actually messaged him. I like cashed out my good $25 to make that happen. But so yeah, shout out to you.
Collusion.
It was in Bitcoin, so it's not traceable.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because Andy really pushed his maximum lineup this week. I think if you look at his optimal, this is probably his optimal lineup. He even with only 0.66 points, overperformed what he was projected to put up because of Devontae Smith, Adam Thielen, and Christian McCaffrey having fairly decent games. But I was looking at his bench and like nobody on his bench put up more than 10 points. So it's not like he could have really like even his quarterback on the bench, Colt McCoy, didn't do anything. So he really couldn't have put a much better lineup out there and just happened to be playing, a horrible team on the other side this past week. But made it into the playoffs with that performance by 30 points. So if he actually hadn't started Christian McCaffrey this week for whatever reason, you would be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and even if he had won and didn't have Christian McCaffrey in, I would have made it because I didn't make the playoffs because he outscored me by 20 points. So
yeah,
double whammy there.
Yeah, really just got you. But from a predictions perspective, we were correct on this one. So we actually, myself and you, we predicted that he would win, as well as let's see. Andy also picked himself to win, so some confidence. Dan and Darius both predicted Team Goni 1 to take the victory, which he did not. First incorrect picks of the week. Next matchup we had was Terrell, Reverend Big Cheese versus Dan Skull Soldiers. And let's just say Dan's fairly confident going into this week. He picked himself to be the victor. He was the only person to pick himself to be the victor this week, but he was very confident. And let's just say Terrell put up 127 points and Dan put up 68 points. So not exactly a close matchup. Just a horrible offensive showing on his part. Corey Davis, one catch for 15 yards. Tony Jones Jr., one carry for 2 yards and one reception. 4 points from the Steelers defense, 2 points from the tight end Jordan Atkins, 9 points from Christian Kirk, 8 points from Deontay Foreman, 10 points from Dameon Pierce before he got injured. And that whole performance was just disgusting. Terrell actually would have scored 130 points if he just had not started a defense. His defense put up -4 points, but Juju had 22, Lockett had 17, and Jefferson had 33, as well as Miles Sanders with a great game, 28 points. On the ground was enough to propel Terrell to the number 4 spot in the league, securing spot in the playoffs and knocking Dan out of the hunt completely, all the way down to spot 8. I think he was 6 when he started the week. And it's rough. It's a rough life out there.
Yeah. It's not what you want. It's not what you want.
Everyone else.
Last match of the week. What was that?
I said everyone else got that one correct.
All right. And last matchup, we had Angie going up against Joneson in 4 first-round bye. And, dude, another overperformance by Angie, so shout out to her. King Cobb won this one by about 4 points, dude. Both put up a bunch of points. Look at their roster now. And they got good performances from literally everyone except for Angie, who started Alexander Madison, who gave her negative points, and that's really what capped it. I'm looking at the rest of her roster. Patriots give her 20. Josh Reynolds gave her 16. Hunter Henry gave her over 10 points. Donovan Peoples-Jones gave her about 20. Tony Pollard, another good game. Herbert was fine. And then for Jones and 4, just solid games from Zay Jones, Njoku, James Conner. Russell Wilson finally had a decent game, even though he still lost. But yeah.
The real question is, does Russell Wilson finally have more touchdowns than bathrooms in his house, or like what's the ratio on that?
I think we're about even at this point. He's got what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. He's got 11 touchdowns on the year.
11 bathrooms in his house? That sounds
12.
about right. 12?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah. Well, he's almost there. Maybe he'll pass him this week. You can do it, Russ. Yeah, Angie had a great week. And honestly, like Patriots defense, go team, 20 points against Arizona. I don't know if do we get extra points for causing Kyler to tear his ACL, or is that just because it's non-contact, we don't get points for that?
Yeah, I just wish we could tear Matt Patricia's ACL, but unfortunately, it was Kyler Murray's.
Can we actually have a contact tear for him? A full contact tear of the ACL. You see Mac Jones just like absolutely like has had it with Blake.
Dude, he's done, bro. He literally looks like a 4-year-old in like daycare that doesn't want to be picked up.
Just stop it.
Yeah, dude. He was not. I do not think that Matt Patricia is getting a Christmas card for Mac Jones this year, but I could be wrong.
I just can't believe he's still with the team. It's insane. I guess if they weren't in the playoff hunt, like they can't risk just blowing it up right now. But like, yeah, there's no way this team's gonna win the Super Bowl. Like they just even if they made the playoff.
No, and I mean, obviously we love Bill Belichick. He's the GOAT, but the whole him picking his boys like the last couple of years and giving them positions like that they don't really not even deserve, but like that's not their like Matt Patricia was defensive coordinator. Like, I mean, do you see the comments the Cardinals coach made about the Pats offense last week?
No.
So they were asking him about the Pats offense. Like, yeah, it looks like it's someone. The offense looks like it's ran by someone who's comes from a defensive mindset. I was like, yeah, that's the point.
It's not ideal.
Sorry to go off on a Matt Patricia tangent here.
No, that deserving. It's the first time we've talked about him. So I think worth a few seconds of our time for sure. But
yeah, hopefully it's the last time we talk about him.
I hope so, but probably won't be. So yeah, Angie overperformed. King Cobb definitely overperformed as well. Ended up being one of the higher scoring matchups of the week. Yeah, just solid performances. But King Cobb, solid, locked in with that victory. Ended up with the number 3 seed. That was his first victory in a while. He had been on kind of a downward spiral for a bit, but we all had predicted that he was going to take that victory, and we were correct. So I think that's the last matchup that we needed to touch base on. Let's see here. Yep. And so when we total it up, dude, first time that this has happened, but we actually had 3 people with perfect predictions this week. So congratulations to you, myself, and Andy for a straight 6-0 sweep of the field. Great job with predictions, man. We're like, this is great.
How does it feel that last week you were 7 games behind me and you had a perfect week and you're still 7 games behind me?
Yep, can't get much worse than that. It's an awesome feeling. But the positive side thing is that I'm not 8 games behind now. So
it's true. It could always be worse.
Still a chance. Don't think there's technically a chance, but there's still a chance.
No, actually, there's not a chance because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left. So I'm the winner. Woo! Light work.
Yeah, perfect. Well, the other scores for this week, we had Darius came in with 5-1. He only had 1 incorrect pick, and Dan not the greatest week, 4-2, still winning percentage, but yeah. So that brings on the year That brings you to 55 and 29, brings me to
Phew.
48 and 36, and it brings Dan to 12 and 6. Darius is at 5 and 1 here, starting, and Andy starting off with a 6 and 0. Awesome first week. But we got to talk about, some of the MVPs from this matchup, which made these victories or losses possible. For my MVPs, I wanted to pick people that at this point is just ironic based on topics of conversation that we've gone over on the pod in the past. So my bench MVP is actually from the matchup between Darius and Trevor. And my bench MVP is none other than Dawson Knox, tight end for the Buffalo Bills. He only went 4 for 7 with 41 yards and a touchdown. But Trevor's matchup against Darius was decided by 3 points. So that's all that he would have needed if he had started Knox over Trey McBride this week. Now, honestly, I would have started Knox over Trey McBride, and considering how much Trevor loves Dawson Knox, I am shocked that he didn't start him. So I would be interested in hearing the thought process behind Trey McBride against New England, who's also pretty good against tight ends. So, Trevor, let us know.
That's close. I mean, Knox hasn't necessarily been great this year. Hurts has had a pretty good year, and he's hurt, so maybe he was just thinking that McBride would get most of that production back. I don't know. Knox has been super hit or miss.
Oh, I agree, but I also think Trey McBride's kind of unproven. So I probably, if I had the choice to start Dawson Knox, I would probably pick the Josh Allen upside over Trey McBride. And I have done I think I still have Trey McBride on my taxi squad in most leagues that I have him in, just because I like him and his prospects for the future. Most rookie tight ends don't actually develop until year 2 or 3. So traditionally, I'm okay with sitting him if I know he's got good talent, good arms. Njoku didn't develop until this year, didn't really break out, and we've been saying for years he was a first round pick. It took him this long. So, but yeah, I mean that's all it would have taken. Trevor, let us know why you didn't start Dawson Knox, man. Cost you the week, cost you a victory. Now I know it wouldn't have made a difference in the playoff run for you. Because at the end of the day, there wouldn't have been even a victory there. 6 and 8 would not have been enough to put you into the playoffs. Still, cost you $10, and you just almost made all of us look bad, which would have been good for you too. So next time, that was my bench MVP. My actual MVP of the week is none other than Keenan Allen, wide receiver for the Chargers. Keenan Allen over Noah Brown, like we've been saying all along. Kind of ironic that there was a trade earlier in the year we all thought would be hugely in Darius's favor, and it's paying off now, right when he needed it for his last victory of the regular season, solidifying that number 2 seed and a comfy bye week. Which thank goodness for him, because his Buffalo stack is playing in very bad weather this week. So I'm sure he's happy that he doesn't have to rely on them to try and put up anything for him. Keenan Allen had 21.2 points, 14 targets, 12 receptions for 92 yards, no touchdowns, just massive volume. We'll see if he shows up in the same way in semifinals. What do you got?
Definitely outperform Noah Brown, that's for sure.
Noah Brown had
too. Yeah, that's true. My bench MVP. I don't know how Angie didn't start the best running back on the New York Giants roster. Completely shocking to me. But for some reason, she decided not to start Gary Brightwell.
Come on,
I'm a huge fan of. Yeah, come on. We thought the McBride choice was sus. This is completely sus. Gary Brightwell put up a respectable 6.1 points. He had 23 rushing yards, 2 receptions for 18 yards. Angie started Alexander Madison over him, and Madison had negative points, which is obviously something you never want. If Angie had started Brightwell this last week over Madison, she would have won and pulled off a major upset over King Cobb. Just surprised as a Packer fan that she'd even start a Viking. That kind of stinks anyways, but to each their own.
Sounds like she might be going a little old school there with the Madison pick.
God, I hope not, dude. Those Vikings fans are soft. The skull. All right. quick rant here. The skull chant, bro, is the most lame chants in sports. Like Vikings fans walk around and wonder why they haven't won a Super Bowl, and then you just hear them yell "skull." Like, dude, it's honestly embarrassing. If I had known there's this many Vikings fans in this league, I probably would have joined a different dynasty league. But it's neither here nor there.
Well, want to talk about
Anyways,
no.
before I get kicked out of the league, I'm going to talk about our MVP. That is David Njoku. Speaking of consistent tight ends, when healthy this year, dude, Njoku's been a beast. He had another great week. He helped King Cobb squeeze by with the victory over Angie. He had 7 receptions, 9 targets. He had a total of 59 yards and a touchdown. He also additionally had a carry for -2 yards, so let's not forget that. But it was a grand total of 22.2 points. Yeah, curious to see how he looks with Watson the rest of the year, and how his chemistry is with him. I think it's probably not that it really matters. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think with Watson, the more chemistry you can get with the guys for the year ends, probably the better for him long term. So
Yeah, and I think that with 7 receptions, he had 9 targets. Obviously, he's trusted target out
yeah,
there. 59 yards and a touchdown as a tight end, like that's incredible. And to see that already in the first, I think he didn't play the first week with Watson back, so to see that in his first week back, like it's only going to get better. I also saw the offensive coordinator for the Browns was saying that Kyler's going to open it more and more as he gets more comfortable with the offensive game plan. They're going to put a little bit more designed runs in there. So it's just going to once this offense is really opening up. Watson hasn't played football in 300 days or more. So he's getting back in the swing of things, and I think that'll be a good thing for the offense. But yeah, he had a good week. All right. Let's talk about the playoffs, man. So we finally got the secured playoff picture. We know what the bracket looks like. And one thing that we did for this coming week is we actually had pretty much everyone in the league that wanted to be involved create a playoff bracket where we kind of had predictions not only for this week because there's only 2 matchups this week, but also for the remaining 3 weeks as well. So remaining 2 weeks after that. So we're going to talk about the predictions and the matchups for this coming week, as well as what people's predictions look like for the championship. And then next week, we'll talk about the specific matchups and the predictions for those specific matchups and kind of whose bracket's still in the game and in the running, so to speak. Isiah, you want to talk us through kind of what the matchups look like this week?
yeah. So starting off, quick summary. You ended up with the 1 seed. Darius ended up with the 2 seed. I believe King Cobb ended up with the 3 seed, and then Tobodomo ended up with the 4 seed, and then I think Seed and Powers 5th, and then Andy was 6th.
Yeah.
I was 7th, didn't make the playoffs by about 20 points, and then Dan, Trevor, the rest of us, Frank had a couple names here. We didn't make the playoffs either.
Yeah.
So for the matchups this week in the playoffs, we got Tobodomo, the 3rd seed, going up against Seed and Power, the 5th seed. And let me pull up my notes here real quick. What a season it was. I picked Seed and Power almost every week this year, I feel like. And I just feel like it's actually was a pretty disappointing year for him. I mean, even just based off our early power rankings and, who people chose at the beginning of the year that they thought was going to win the league. But I don't really think that was his fault. I think a lot to do with injuries and just timing and luck. The important thing is he still made it. And, at the end of the day, it's really all that matters is getting yourself in the playoffs and seeing what can happen from there. But I actually think he still wins this week against Topodomo, even though Topodomo is the higher ranking. He is currently, Center Power is currently about a 20-point projection over Terrell right now at 134 to 114. I do find it pretty funny that their starting QB situation, when you think of like the starting QB situation for playoff matchups, like, we're talking about big guys here. No, it's Mr. Purdy who's playing tonight, or he has a touchdown going up against Ryan Tannehill.
Listen,
I mean, just looking at his roster,
might not be Purdy, but he get the job done.
Yes, sir. Get her done. Looking at his roster and outside of QB, there's not a single weak link on that roster. So give me Seaton.
Yeah, I got to go with Seaton on this one, and I think I was looking back through like the other predictions for the bracket. Like Darius has Seaton, Andy has Seaton, Dan has Seaton. Let's see, Terrell. Terrell actually has himself taken the victory on this one. I have Seaton, so it looks like Terrell's the only person from the brackets that I received so far that has himself taking the victory. You know, obviously anything can happen. We got Sanders going up against Chicago. It's a really good matchup. Jefferson is always a game changer. Taysom Hill could always have a blow up game. Juju as well. But I think, you know, top to bottom, when you look at the talent, like Jonathan Taylor had a bye week last week for Seaton, and thankfully he didn't need a victory to make the playoffs, because if he did, that's just poor timing to have, you know, arguably your best running back on a bye week. But he's got Dalvin Cook, fantastic matchup this week against Indy. Taylor's a great matchup. We got CeeDee Lamb against Jacksonville, should be a good matchup. Now AJ Brown's been just great every week. Jalen Waddles has actually had a couple of bad weeks recently, but he's always got so much talent in Miami. Mike Evans, you know, always a big deep threat downfield. And if Mike Evans is your, you know, fourth flex option, then you're in a really, really good spot. So I'm taking Seaton Power in this one. I think that, you know, just all in all, really great roster construction for him.
Agreed. All right, put you on the spot. So I got a question for another league I'm in for you, real quick. So I need to start 3 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Here are my 4 options. I got Chris Godwin, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, and Chris Olave. I'm thinking I go with Godwin, obviously AJ Brown, and then you think I should start Olave over Waddle at this point?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that Waddle is always, you know, always has huge upside, but for me, it'd be between Waddle and Godwin, to be honest with you. With how bad the Bucks offense has been, like I honestly probably I would be more leaning. It'd be a lot closer between Godwin and Waddle. I just know that Godwin's like got a lot of guaranteed targets.
The high floor.
You know what I mean? He's like Waddle has more touchdown upside, and Waddle has probably more yardage upside. But you know, is it a PPR league?
Yeah, it's full PPR. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm probably going to start Godwin then, because he's going to get, you know, 7-8 targets at least.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. You can go back to the predictions here. You brought up Waddle, and I was like, oh, we're just thinking. Okay, sweet. Let's do our next matchup here. We got the 4 seed going up against the 6 seed, and O'Connell does the gritty versus Jones in 4. I think Andy pulls it off this week.
No.
He's had quite the lucky. Yeah, dude. I think he's had quite the lucky run as of late. And believe it or not, I think he keeps it going against King Cobb. I know he has Colt McCoy starting, and that's not ideal. But I feel like he has an advantage at almost every other spot for the most part, looking at his matchups. And, dude, if it hadn't been for the insane amount of injuries King Cobb has had this year, it'd be King Cobb rather easily. But man, I'm looking at this week, and I think Andy pulls it off. I just think he's the Cinderella story of our league this year, and give me Andy. God damn it!
Listen, the reason I reacted like that is because I also picked Andy to win, and I was wondering if you looked at my bracket, dude. I thought the same thing. I said, "There's no way anyone else is going to pick Andy to win this one, because King
Really?
so fire this year, and like his roster has studs on it." But I was like, you know what? Andy's won 3 in a row. King Cobb barely won last week against Angie. So I'm like, Andy's riding on this, you know, coattails of success, and every week he's won without a quarterback. So it's like, if he can win without quarterbacks consistently, King Cobb consistently underperforms for the last couple of weeks. This is a great opportunity for him to move on. And he's got Chris Olave back this week. Like, come on, let's go.
Yep.
I think Garrett Wilson's about to drop 50 points on him.
Yeah, he's got some great receivers to build with those two.
not that I'm going to change my opinion now, but Ken Walker's not having the greatest game so far tonight for him, so that might hurt his chances a little bit.
Still
Um,
early.
yeah, still very early, but I mean, he's got Garrett Wilson, he's got T.J. Hawkinson, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, McCaffrey's already got not a touchdown, but 43 yards on the ground, 5 receptions for 32 yards in the air, and it's only the second half, so obviously off to a great start there. Um, the question marks are around Fournette on the side of King Cobb and Zay Jones, as well as Saquon Barkley's been dealing with a bit of a neck injury lately. Not exactly sure. He got off the practice, or was it the injury report? So he's not questionable or anything like that. But he's playing Sunday night, and he's playing against Washington. Washington's been pretty good against the run recently. So I mean, we'll see how that matchup ends up going. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really explain it in numbers because it's going to be a close matchup, I think. But I do believe that in the end, we're going to get Andy moving on to the next round to face Darius.
That's fire, dude. I love to see it.
Let's go. So let's see what other predictions had in here. So Andy actually had himself moving on to the second round against King Cobb as well. Darius has King Cobb moving on. And then let's see here. King Cobb as well for Dan. He took King Cobb. He said it's that he did put in that it's a tough one because injuries are brutal.
Yeah.
And then Terrell put in Andy advancing out of the first round. So maybe we weren't so far off, dude. Maybe this is like
Yeah.
everyone's feeling
I
the
think everyone's got the Andy heat going on, dude. It's the Andy fever.
wow, that is something. I really didn't look at these before I put these in. So in order to make sure I did a correct bracket, and I really didn't think that many people were gonna go for Andy, but they're all feeling the vibe. They're like momentum's on his side, and this is like the 2021 Boston Red Sox. Anything's possible.
Yeah, definitely not the 2022 Boston Red Sox.
Or the
But
2023 through 2026 Boston Red Sox.
not the Red Sox moving forward, owned by John Henry Red Sox. But yeah. Well, I'll start off with our actual away predictions. Already talked about this week. I think Salem Power takes it over Topo Demo. I think Andy takes it over King Cobb. So with that being said, that would put Seed and Power facing you next week. I do think you win that one. Not gonna go too much in depth with it. Your roster is insane with the depth. And then I'd also have at that point it'd be Andy up against Darius, and I think Darius takes the cake on that one. Still love Darius's roster. Maybe Lamar comes back at that point 2 weeks and get Mark Andrews going again. And then for the championship, it'd be you and Darius, and then I have Matthew winning because that's my friend. That's my friend, and I pick my friends. So.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
And because I practically gave you the league title with that damn Pitts Eckler trade that I would still do, but God, it's frustrating.
Yeah, that was a game changer trade, dude. I gave up a lot, but like he's RB what 2 on the year, 1 on the year points per game. Like
Yeah.
that was a huge move to solidify. And like obviously it still would have been I would still have a good roster if I had just not made that move and only made the Henry move. But just to be able to pick up Henry and Eckler, and still have Adams and Hill and like, oh my, like I'm happy with this year's team and I'm so terrified of the future. Um, but yeah, let's take a look at the at my bracket here. So, I have Seed and Power taking the victory this week as well. Going up, that would make him going up against me in round 2. And I have Andy getting the victory as well, going up against Darius. I also have Darius taking the cake, through round 2. And I have myself with a victory over Seed and Power. That leads me into the championship versus Darius. And I do have myself taking the championship versus Darius, but that's going to be a dog fight. And I'll tell you, I just think I gotta keep having confidence. in myself there, but when I look at the matchups, like it's going to be a tough one. Week 17 in the finals. The Buffalo Bills stacks going up against the Bengals defense, which has been fairly decent. And I know that's been a huge factor for him. And just, Darius's luck is going to run out with these backup running backs eventually. And he's going to, he's going to stop being able to start these guys. But yeah, I'm excited for this matchup. It's going to be awesome. So
Yeah,
that's,
I mean, you can always throw Daryl Henderson in there, right?
I mean, potentially he could start Daryl Henderson if he wants a guaranteed 0 points. I'm pretty sure Daryl Henderson got dropped last week.
Hey, Daryl Henderson did get dropped, but he also put up more points than Alexander Madison. So
You're
you
not
never know.
wrong. That's true. That's true. Guaranteed more points than Alexander Madison. So Andy, let's go over Andy's bracket. Andy picked himself to advance out of the first round against Darius. He has Darius taking the matchup against him in round two. He picked Seed and Power to advance out of round one up against myself in round two. He has myself taking the victory against Seed and Power, and then he has me and Darius in the championship, with myself taking the victory over Darius in the championship. Let's see. Darius's predictions is King Cobb advancing to semifinals against Darius. He has Seed and Power advancing to semifinals against myself. He has myself taking the victory over Seed and Power and advancing to the finals. And he actually has King Cobb taking down Darius in the semifinals. He's going back to the old vote against myself strategy in the finals. So we'll see how well that plays out for him. But he has himself losing in the semifinals, which then would put a finals matchup between myself and King Cobb. And he has myself as the champion right now. He said that obviously could be subject to change, but as of right now, that's what he has as far as bracket. So for round two here, Dan had Seed and Power and King Cobb taking the victories in their respective first rounds. And in round two, he has myself taking the victory over Seed and Power and Darius taking it over King Cobb. He said, hey, Buster is just too deep and wins it all. So he thinks that I take the victory in the finales. And
Man,
Terrell,
that's a lot of pressure, dude.
I'm feeling the pressure right now. This is pretty intense. Um, Terrell says him and Andy advanced out of the first round. He says he takes an L, but a close L due to injuries in the second round. And then he says Darius and me in the championship round. And he says that I take the big W convincingly. So that's his bracket. I think that's everybody that's submitted for us so far. So
everyone's got you beating Darius in the championship. Dang.
well, Darius had me beating King Cobb in the championship, but that's the
Oh,
only
that's right.
the only variation. So we'll see what happens. Too bad there's not
Don't let us down, dude.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of redundancy built in there, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I live in Vegas, so if anyone wants me to go to a dealer real quick, we can throw some money down on Matt. I'll let everyone know what the odds are. I'm pretty sure it's probably not going to be a whole lot, but yeah, I'll see what I can do.
What is the odds like if every single person bets for the same person? Is
You
that
know, bet like a hundred. You'll get like a you bet like $100. You'll get like 110 back.
yeah, not even. Who'd you get the money from?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly,
You'd have to have at least one person going against it, don't you? Or it's not a bet.
I don't know. I'm not deep in the gambling game.
I don't know how it works.
I couldn't tell you.
I only play DraftKings. Okay, listen, I don't know what any of that stuff is.
Yeah, I play Monopoly. That's about all I got. So.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode. Next week is the week of a lot of festive holidays. We're going to definitely have to record early in the week, potentially Monday night if you can do it.
Dude, I'm on mid next week, so I literally have all week off except for a 3 hour block during Tuesday. So I'm on your time, baby. So.
Dude, I have the week off as well. I just got a little traveling to do, a little bit of some Christmas concert rehearsals during the week. But if we can do it early in the week, that'll be sweet. We'll get it out. We'll recap what we're looking like for matchups. We'll go ahead and talk about what that next round of the playoffs looks like. And yeah, I'm excited for it, man. What do you got for Patriots versus Raiders this week?
They're in Vegas, dude. I might go to the game. I might wait for tickets. So I was thinking going snowboard on Sunday, but I might wait for tickets to drop a little bit more. They're currently like $250 a pop for like extreme nosebleeds, which isn't awful, but it's two crappy teams. So I just got other things that I do with my money. But I may go. We'll see what happens. I think the Patriots win, not because they're good, but because of how much of a joke the Raiders are. And I think with Belichick going up against McDaniels, will probably be in McDaniels' head all game. He's been proven to be pretty inept as a coach. So I'll take the Pats, which is pretty interesting because we actually could have put us in a really good spot for a wild card position. I think we're already in as of right now. Mm-hmm. If it ended this week, that would just further help us. But
yeah, I got the Raiders as well. I mean, I got the Pats taking it over the Raiders as well this week. But it'd be cool if you went to the game this week and I'm going to the game next weekend, or no, 2 weekends from now. Yeah, week 17, I'm going to the game. So, we both be
the good. Bills or Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Nice. Go watch that offense.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to see Tyreek and Waddle in person and just kind of see how fast they are. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones beats him in the race, but go off, King.
Jones, Mac Daddy. All right, well that's a wrap. That's a wrap, guys. Please make sure to like and comment on the video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify podcast, please leave us a review and a rating. It really does help. And follow us on TikTok and Twitter again to stay up to date with the latest content. Interact with us on there. That's going to do it for today. So thank you very much for tuning into that Dynasty podcast. Best of luck in your fantasy playoffs, and we will see you next week.